Hey guys, Veebat here with another V-Plays, and we're taking a look at the iconic Yak-15. Now the Yak-15 is an interesting duck in the sense that this is one of the only aircraft that was converted from a propeller-driven aircraft. I mean, I think a lot of people speculate that just by looking at it, but this is actually a Yak-3, and they put the Jumo engine that was acquired after the liberation of Germany after World War II. So what you end up with here is this is a Yak-3. If you guys take a look at the profile and everything, and you just put your hand over the jet portion, you're like, oh yeah, no, that's my Yak-3. I just came out of that one. What is this thing? Well, this thing was not intended to be like a combat platform. This is what we today would call a combat-capable training platform. The idea was they would get all of their propeller pilots, because everyone was a propeller pilot at this point, and get them acclimated to using a jet, because flying a jet requires a lot more. It's different, and it requires a lot more labor because you have to manage a much different system. I mean, there's a big technical aspect that goes into being a pilot, especially with jet platforms, and this was meant to be that kind of in-between to get people ready for that next phase of flight. But what you find, especially with nations that don't have the infrastructure to have a big standing air force, is that you make your trainers also combat capable. We see that with the Hawk 200, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch of other ones I'm forgetting about. But you essentially make a training platform that, in a pinch, can be used in a combat role. And that's what this is. And it's actually sporting a very good set of armament. These 23mm cannons are actually going to be Tier 10 23mm. These are the same 23mm that you'd get on the Yak-30. It's just that you're only getting 2 of them. And one of the first things you'll probably note right here is that this aircraft is not where it's supposed to be. How am I flying around in a light turny fighter at 7,000 feet? This is why people were telling me, V, you're gonna love the Yak-15, because all the things I didn't like about turn fighters was the lack of altitude performance, the lack of speed, all the things that made this thing very limited in its capabilities. Because, like, if I wasn't in the right spot, like in my Yak-3, it was going to take me forever to get to another zone. Sure, I might be able to outturn anything that comes near me, but I had good guns, but they were meant to be used at a closer range. These, going out to 2,600 feet, I can actually reach out and touch people with this thing. It's a vicious piece of machinery, and it goes pretty fast. In a full boost, and you use dive to help you get you up to that speed, but you can get this thing up to 500 miles an hour with the upgraded engine, which we now have. So I can get up to those altitudes. I can go ahead and fight with those heavies at 7,000 feet and hold my own. And here we are pecking away at this, well, arguable heavy aircraft here, and doing good damage at 2,300 plus. Of course, now we got this heavy coming in here. You get out of here. It's my kill. It's probably still going to get him, but maybe I can tease away some more of his health. But you would never expect to do something like this in a Yak-3 successfully. I mean, you could do it, but you'd be making a big mistake here. And we're just about out of range here. Come on. Oh, he's turning back. Too late. Too late, buddy. Buddy's grabbed the zone. Nice. Gotta love those spot ground attackers. So we've got the 2 major zones I really wanted to get. Head back to the middle, and we're going to keep securing this site. But yeah, it's a solid platform. I do enjoy it, and I hated the Yak-3. In fact, I went to the Yak-9U and unlocked this platform because I hated the Yak-3 so much. Nah, lost the zone. We should be able to get that back easily enough, though, with this platform. Come on now. There we go. He agreed to die. It just took a while. I'll tell you, this 109. But again, we're at 7,000 feet. We're peppering away at this BF. I'm going to start to to nose over now because we're hitting stall point, but you get my point. We've got the latitude. I also like getting up to high altitude because then it coaxes these guys to go into a heavy climb and they're in bad energy states. And I'm not stopping on one, I'm kind of switching between them, going to soften them up. Got that one. Just incredible turn capabilities. And we're starting to hit the phase of, at this tier, there's less turny fighters. Even the Japanese that are known for having the zeros and having a really good turn fighters, they lose that capability and they get the Kai 94, which is a better altitude performer, has better overall speed, but isn't nearly as good of a dogfighter. And then you get the same thing with the J7, the J7W. That thing starts to, it's not a very good turny fighter. It can do a nice stall turn where you drop the throttle and then hit the boost and kick the nose over in a tight, momentary turn, but it's got nothing on something like this that can do sustained turn fights, and it'll give the Spitfire 14 a run for his money. Now, we're not nearly as versatile as the Spitfire 14, he's got more firepower and stuff, but check that out, we're at 477. Hey buddy, I'm here. Heard you were trying to get my zone. And now we can start putting in some damage. And at tier 8, the gunpowder on this is absolutely fantastic. And of course, shiny paint job. And yes, this is permanent camo, and I am planning on keeping this plane. That's why I got my shark face. Always go for the shark face. Watching out for those bombs. Gotta love these German aircraft because the German ground attackers are faster, so it's easier to get on their tail. You can just see we hit grade 2 Akamatsu medal, good on health. Man, we're just wrecking face. Great plane. Although it looks like we might be losing the middle. Let's see if we can get over there. We can get up to good speed, but usually we need a dive to do it. If you dive at about a 10-degree downward while hitting the boost, I find that you get the acceleration you're looking for having that dive. It's not always as instantaneous as you'd see if you were to just nose over and just do a straight dive. We are a squall line, so anything we kill stays dead. This looks like it's going to be a dangerous fight, but I got some friendlies over here, my ground attackers. Let's go ahead and try and give them a hand. I see this J8M. I know what he's doing, but if we can catch him. It's a very weak airframe. 1 hit point. Yeah, see ya. We don't need you getting around the battlefield on us. Spitfire. We got our guns on target before he did. We lost the zone. I kind of saw that coming, but squall line, let's focus on knocking out enemy birds. 3 hit points. Come on, there we go. Let's get a little bit more altitude, make ourselves more competitive, so that way those new birds that'll be spawning in for defense will be at a bad energy state trying to climb up to me, give me a little bit more survivability, so I'm really only dogfighting 2 airframes right now. Hopefully just 1 in a second. Come on, Zane, get out of here. There we go. Winged Legend. 190D. Oh, geez. Here we go. Oh, did he just ram me? Yeah, I don't know. Hero of the Sky. Not bad. Grade 1 fighter. That's what we're looking for. Just highlights how capable this platform is. And we're doing this cold. This is my ×3 for the day. Just figured we'd go for it. I can't believe I got a ramming kill on a multi-roll. I tried to turn, for the record. I don't even think I'm going to get a chance to put any rounds into this guy. I wish I could. He's so low. Oh, it seemed to always end a battle like that. Alright, let's go to the hangar and check this thing out. I think the record speaks for itself. Oh, those medals. The Marseille, the Akamatsu, the Wing Legend, the Kazudev medal. I don't know why I think the B is pronounced as a V, but... But like I said, this thing's got those tier 10 guns, and we'll kind of showcase that. And this is where things start to get nice, because you'll find that a lot of the things on this platform convert to multiple other platforms, and that's really nice about that Russian line, is that the Russians start to open up and feed one another, and I love that concept. So, yep, total of 18 air targets killed, and only 6 of them were air defense, so we managed to knock out 12 enemy aircraft. Yep, decent amount of damage, so we definitely were hitting some heavier targets, and we made some good progress. Yeah, it was a solid battle. I had a good time. All bots, of course. I didn't even notice that. Oops. So I didn't do so great, but you can kind of see the capabilities of the platform. Upgrades. So this is what I was talking about. These guns, these are the same guns that the MiG-15 gets a combination of these and a 37mm, so these are tier 10 guns for him. These are the same cannons. I actually unlocked these on the IL-40, and then we could use them on this plane, so that's awesome. The Yak-30 gets 3 of these, the LA-15 gets 3 of these, the Yak 19 gets 3 of these cannons, so you're really putting yourself into a good spot. And the Russian jets, for the most part, are all going to be ripoffs of German jet designs. Essentially, when they freed Germany from the Nazi Party, they took all of the extra 262 engines that they could get their hands on, and while the Brits and the Americans were doing lots of efforts to try and keep up with the Germans and get into the jet age, doing their own type of designs, I think the Americans mostly copied the Brits initially. The Russians just acquired it. Like, just, okay, we'll take all these Jumos. So this is why this top airframe is actually called the Yak-15 Jumo, because it just straight up used the Jumo 004 engine. And then these RD-10s are actually variants of the Russian copy, like a one-for-one copy of the Jumo. They reverse engineered it and started producing their own versions. And that's one of the complaints that a lot of pilots had about the MiG-9, is that it used 2 of these engines, and their thing was, man, the Jumos were known to be unreliable. It really was just a stepping stone to the jet age, and they burned out very quickly. They get like 30 combat hours before they need to swap out engines and, reservice those engines to get them back up to full operational capability. So copying what was supposed to be an interim step and using it as your production engine resulted in a myriad of maintenance issues for the Russian jet fleet. Just give you an idea of how far they went to copy stuff, like, those are Jumo 004 engines. they took 2 of them. They're like, man, this engine doesn't produce enough power. We'll just put more on there. They literally stacked them on top of each other and made this jet bomber. Same basic concept right here. So that's what you see here. This is what you'll end up seeing on the Su-9. And I think even the I-211, they start to develop their own jet engines at that point. We'll talk more about it as I do more research on those. But yeah, here you are with your Yak-3, and then bam, jet engine thrown on it. All in all, a great aircraft. Like I said, 2,600 feet. That's a big deal. Really big deal to be able to reach out and touch people at that type of range. You don't have a lot of hit points. That's to be foreseen, but this is what I was saying about the airspeed. Now with a new engine, that bumps me up to 500 miles per hour potential top speed with a max dive speed of 509. We seldom get to 500, but I can get up to the mid to high 300s, and that's enough to be able to get across the battlefield relatively effectively. The boost is 6 seconds, not bad at all, and the maneuverability, 8.1 second turn time. Guys, we're not that specced out. Like, this thing is a fairly new crew. It's only got a total of 5 points on it, and we've gone for getting Aerodynamic Expert to maximize the other 2 pieces of equipment. Of course, we've gone with Firefighter. That's a necessity. And then we got Engine Guru 1 because, like I said, my issue with these turn fighters is their inability to get across the battlefield and affect the fight. And by putting a little bit of emphasis on engine power, it allowed me to get up to those altitudes and do the things we did in that fight. And for the equipment, for the time being, I am running the improved uprated engine because without a lot of boost to spare, I don't want to use the injector or the injection system or boost system because then I'm losing a second of boost, and I think it's important to have 6 seconds available. But if we specialize, and we will eventually, we will have the option of throwing on lightweight power unit to be able to maximize the maneuverability even more. And most likely what I'm going to end up doing is reinforced skin on this because we don't want to sacrifice any of the maneuverability with reinforced airframe or polished skin because it's a turn fighter, right? Let's not sacrifice what we're trying to gain with this thing. And while I do value speed, I think the advancement we're going to get from eliting this and upgrading the improved uprated engine to higher classes of itself, possibly up to that orange tier or elite tier, we will be able to compensate for the power loss or the aircraft speed loss for the reinforced skin. And by compensate, we're actually going to outpace it. So the loss for the reinforced skin here is going to be a loss of 1.6 for the improved, for the maximum speed with boost and cruise speed, while currently this thing's giving me 1.9 and 3.5 to my acceleration without boost and cruise speed. So we're not losing much. You're actually going to continue to gain some engine power, so just something to bear in mind when you're looking at this. And then with 2 slots underneath airframe, we can actually throw on pneumatic control assist, so when we get into those really difficult turn fights, we can go ahead and dab that 2 key, or 3 key in this instance, and get this thing to heal over very rapidly. I may rearrange that to make sure it's a 2, but that's the setup I have currently. The thing's going great. I'm loving this plane. I'm only looking forward to the rest of the line. What I'm not looking forward to is the fact that I'm going to need a new pilot for each of these because they're so good. I'm going to end up keeping a Yak 15, a Yak 19, and a Yak 30. And that's based off of advisement from you guys. You were right, the Yak 15 is awesome, and I suspect based on the stats I'm reading for these next 2 airframes, they are also going to be awesome. So looking forward to the rest of this endeavor. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you on the next one.